Hi pals, it's me Artie, then pronouns only, and my video this week is talking about why doesn't anything in the NHS work. After my last specialist Takayasu's appointment, I left knowing that I was due to have a blood test and an MRI. However, I was not provided information of what blood tests needed to be done. For a start, I said in the appointment, no, I wasn't going to go and get blood tests for them right now. They could get them from my local hospital, because I was due to have blood tests done like a few weeks later anyway. No one contacted me about it either after the appointment. I had to email them asking. I had to ask them to send me a blood form, and rather than just answering like a normal person, i.e. the blood results that the blood tests that I need doing and explaining, you know, we don't do those, but these are the tests we need you to go and get done. They just replied with, we don't do blood forms, all of our blood tests are requested digitally. And I don't give a fuck, you know, which extended the issue of, okay, well, I don't know what you want from me. Find out please, and I can ask my local team for a blood form for everything that you want doing. Instead of them doing that, as usual, one of my many full-time jobs being my own receptionist, but also the receptionist of everybody in the NHS. I also hadn't received a letter for weeks. Like, I didn't receive a post-appointment letter. I'm not even sure if I've had that, like, physically, which I did inform their secretary team about. They emailed it to me, and there was a mention that I have heart disease, just casually thrown in there, you know, which was a shock. You know, it was either untrue or was true and no one has spoken to me about it. So I asked them to find out about this particular remark, as well as asking them about this MRI appointment that I needed to get booked in with my local team. They kept just saying that they sent something to my local team, but I was still just not receiving anything from anyone. So I didn't know who to be annoyed at yet. It took about 2 weeks to get an answer about the heart disease comment in the letter. I had to continually badger them on that. I had said initially as well, like, I don't understand. We talked about this particular comment on steroids in the appointment, talking about how, you know, ideally I'd be coming off steroids to avoid those, or at least lessen the possibility of things like heart disease in the future, and lowering my future risk, not my current existing diagnoses supposedly. And then, yeah, not that I currently had what this letter is saying that I have. And they just kept saying that they passed it on to somebody to look into, and it's like, okay, is anybody going to get back to me? Pretty simple answer, honestly. Just look at my file and email me back. 5 minutes, you know? Yeah, and then, like, they just never kept not getting back to me, as usual, until I kicked off about the MRA. So at 8 weeks after my appointment, I called my local rheumatology's secretary with one of my PAs to try and find out about the MRA, see what they know, what have they received from this specialist team in London. Number one, my local rheumatology secretary had no idea who I was or what health condition I was talking about, even though I'd been emailing her directly about this condition for the last 4 years. Number two, didn't know what an MRA was and was asking me. I don't know, girl. Girlie, I have no idea. I'm not the doctor. I've had one before in this trust, though. It's an MRI, okay? But they use an A at the end. I don't know, mate. I don't know what the A stands for. I assume aorta, because that's what we're looking at, but I don't know. Not my job to know what MRA stands for. And then number three, instead of just asking me to start again and explain that she's confused or a bit lost, she just kept insisting that this was a cardio problem, or one point started talking about my gastro consultant. And I said at one point, I was like, what does he have to do with any of this? And that's when she admitted she didn't understand anything I was talking about. And that's when I was just like, I will start again then. So I had my specialist Takayasus appointment, who are rheumatologists, I had to say to her, 8 weeks ago. They want a repeat MRA, which is a type of MRI, in January to look at my aorta. I have been chasing them, the London team, for these 8 weeks and haven't gotten any appointments or any further useful information. I'm now calling you to see if you even have received anything from them. She had a look, but it didn't seem like they'd even had the letter about this appointment either. And I said the London team kept telling me that they were contacting my local team about this, so I don't know what the problem is. And the local secretary was like, they probably have the wrong email address. And to be fair, I responded like, that's ridiculous. That can't be possible. Partially because, like, fair enough to me, they have had contact with each other in the past. No problem. So why is there a problem now? But to be fair, I believe it. Like, this is me arguing with two different teams' secretaries at this point. And neither of them are doing the one thing that needs to be done, which is ask for clarification for the most part. And yeah, she kept telling me to go to the other team about it. And I was just like, I said I've been chasing for the last 8 weeks. I have been talking to them about it. So clearly that's not going anywhere. You do something. You do something instead. So I provided the London team's email, and I can't remember if I provided the number as well. So she did contact them later in the day. But then I also decided to use that moment to kick off at the London team by email as well. I said it's a disappointment, basically, that whilst my care from Dr. Youngstein is great, you know, she's very validating and knowledgeable, you feel safe in her care, she is vastly let down by the incompetence of her admin team, basically. Like, why are you so bad at this job? I swear to God, I say this every time I come across people who can't do basic things in their jobs that are kind of important to people. If I was the person in that role, I would have been f***ing fired. Like, they would have fired me. The way that some secretaries speak to me, I would have been fired if I was that secretary. Like, sorry, if I'm speaking to you in this tone, it's because you kind of deserve it. You're not doing your job, and your job actually has a large role in my well-being and if I'm f***ing dead or not. Because yeah, hello, I have been chasing an MRI for 8 weeks. And each time I chase it, saying, hey, the fuck is going on, question mark. Nobody thought to ask or check the contact details. Nobody thought it was weird that nobody had replied and that I was still chasing. Hello, is anybody in the room? Is there a single brain cell?
No!
So I'd also told them in that email that I'd spoken to my local team, who have informed me that they've had no contact from them. And I asked how they were contacting my local team with no answer. They didn't answer that question at any point. They refused to tell me, basically. They just kept avoiding answering that question. I want to know what you managed to do that f***ed this up so badly that I waited 8 weeks just for an appointment letter. And yeah, instead they just asked for a direct email and phone number to my local team instead of actually acknowledging anything. And then I again brought up the heart disease comment because at that point I still hadn't had an answer for that either. So obviously, what's going on, bitch? What are you doing? And they followed up about the heart disease comment saying basically exactly what I'd said to them by email when I first was querying this comment, literally 2 weeks beforehand. So that's what I then said to them. I was like, I said that. That's what I said to you. That is what I said to you. Why does my letter not say that? And I basically was like, I want that letter changed. Like, that is not a correct statement. Change that. statement in my letter, because otherwise that's just going to be in my files now with no correction added to it. So they did write up a clarifying letter to clearly state that I don't have heart disease. Thank you very much. And it was intended to talk about the preventative measure. And it's like, you didn't fucking write any of that or speak any of that into your little microphone for dictation well at all. And the local team got in contact with the London team, and it has all been sorted now. However, the local team, did call me to say that the MRA has been booked for mid-January. Like, that is specifically what the local secretary told me. It was booked for mid-January. I was like, sick, cool. I can stop fucking about with this now. It's ridiculous. What? Like, MRIs to this local unit from my local team normally, fine. No issues. The team here are really nice to me. They know me reasonably well. I've not had issues like this when it's just through the local team. So, like, this has just been ridiculous. However, I was wrong. It was not done. It was not over. It was not. Kill me. So the letter came and my appointment said the 18th of December. Yeah, that phone call, she said middle of January. 18th of December is not the middle of January. And as well, last year I rearranged this exact MRI for January instead of December, and I know that was a different team, but I've rearranged MRIs before with this team and it's been no problem. Because as well, like, who wants to have one of these MRIs every year right before Christmas? Not me, bitch. I would literally rather just add that to my New Year list of things. I don't want to be dealing with that leading up to Christmas and New Year. Like, I just don't, and that's a decision I made, and I'm allowed to make that decision. I am allowed to make that decision, thank you. And as well, it's not as if the appointment would go to waste. There's people who need MRIs done. Like, maybe there's someone who needs their MRI done quicker or can't fit it in any other day. Just let somebody else take this appointment. So yeah, we rang, no answer. We rang again, no answer again. And they didn't call back. 3 days later, rang again, and they're arguing with me. And my mum, I think she was the one calling. They were just arguing with us about me wanting to rearrange the f***ing appointment. What you... I haven't even explained why. I just said, can we move it to January? It was supposed to be in January. People arrange their lives, guys. Like, hello, NHS? I know that you're not very good at understanding the concept of your patients having lives outside of hospital, even though I didn't. There are people out there who won't be able to make that. And whatever the reason, it doesn't f***ing matter. Someone else can take the appointment. It's an MRI. They're basically arguing that a few weeks early won't make a difference. And it's like, I don't give a fuck about what difference it will make. I just don't want to do it in December. And they said, like, oh, they booked it on a shift overlap or something. Like, nobody's ever mentioned this phrase to me before, and it was my mum who was on the phone, so she didn't really understand it either. But supposedly the purpose was because my veins are hard to access, and for once somebody mentioned that in the MRI referral. Nobody else has ever fucking bothered, and now they decide to do it this time. They're making it harder. Thank you very much. Apparently it's because my veins are hard to access and I need contrast dye. They have more staff who can have a look, question mark. That's kind of the gist that my mum was told. I don't know. And they kept saying in the referral they got, there was no request or anything to say to get this done in January, so they just booked it whenever, which I understand, fine, I get that. You'll just book in an MRI for when's suitable or when's next free. That's fine. However, I've said I don't want to do it. And I want to do it in January. Why are you arguing? You know, okay, my short list of reasons why I wanted it to be in January. As I said before in other videos and this one already, who wants to do something like an MRI that requires contrast and, for me, diazepam, and also requires me to have somebody available to take me and bring me back home. Who wants to do something like that will take half a day, if not longer, right before Christmas? Like, I literally don't. I don't think anyone does. And then also, I had a blood test booked in on the 9th of December, which doesn't give me enough time to heal afterwards, basically, without it either hurting more or being more likely to scar. Everybody said January. Everybody was saying January. That's enough of a reason to say no to December. I'm autistic. I don't like surprises. Also, at the time, my mum was recovering from surgery, like a major operation, and I needed someone who could drive and support me through it, through an MRI. How many times have I talked about MRIs and blood tests and problems I've had with them, or other medical procedures where I have been traumatized for no fucking reason because the staff just don't give a shit that maybe I'm a human being. Wow. Shocker to everybody. Because like I said, I have to take diazepam, which means I'm then not allowed to drive. Like, I can't drive there, take the diazepam and then drive home. Because I can't drive home. Because I've had the diazepam. Someone has to do all of it. But also, the last time I did this particular MRI gave me another massive meltdown / panic attack because of how horrific they were to me. Actually, 2 or 3, and I was away from home. And at the time of like all of that, I didn't have anybody else either. Like, I was still very new to having one PA supporting me, and I didn't yet have my second PA helping out. And also, like, I just think a lot of people are a lot busier in December. Like, I always find December is so busy and exhausting, but I would have more time in January. Like, in the new year, I usually would have some more time to be able to do appointments like this. December's just always horrific, because usually I've got loads of other appointments, or like this last year, having a Crohn's flare-up that's actually showing up in the calprotectin tests. Just being in horrific amounts of pain anyway. It was just wild, because like I've never had an argument about wanting to rearrange an appointment for anything really, but especially for MRIs. Like, MRIs are done for so many things. Just book someone else in. Like, that is really that simple. Just book someone else in. And also, when you can look ahead into January, you can still book it on the crossover shift or what the fuck ever. So yes, they went away to look at it. They ended up ringing me back instead of my mum back. Very typical. Even though they were literally speaking to my mum on her number and they asked her number to ring her back. Like, okay, whatever. Makes 0 sense. Sick. And yeah, she rang me back to see if I had any like extended periods of time that I wouldn't be around in January. And it's like, if I did, I wouldn't be asking for this MRI to be in January. And it's like, at the time I had maybe 1 appointment in for January, and like nothing else had been arranged for January. So it was like, no, that's like literally almost anything is fine. And then she said that she would ring back later when she's had a look. And then she rang my mum back instead. This time, I don't know. They were offering me a 9 a.m. scan, which is too early because of my veins. Because, you know, I basically still do the same things as that like old blood test tips video. I have like a whole routine and it requires a few hours, and I'm not awake before 9 a.m, especially right now. Like, I've got to drink like 1 litre, 2 litres of water. I'm gonna
pump the jam, pump it up.
Like, you know, I've got to lift some weights, get the blood flowing, get the veins plump, or I don't know, gross, keep warm. I've got to numb the area as well. You know, I've got a lot of shit to do, guys. I can't be there at 9 a.m. But they did have an 11 a.m, so we got that one. And I can't remember who said this next bit, because I remember somebody mentioning this, but I can't remember who it was. But the request for my MRI did specify a date, sort of. They said anything like around January 13th, I think they said, or before. And they were just like, okay, 18th of December then. So they also lied to my face again. And also we know that these people on the phone for the MRI clinic, what the fuck ever, from, God, was it maybe 2 years ago now? I had an MRI for my small bowel again in like January, February. And they just straight up lied about a bunch of things. The main one was that I could get a blood test after I've had a cannula, that like they would use the cannula to take some blood for a blood test I also needed to do on the same day, which is all just a lie. I don't understand why they don't do this, because like, here's the best theory in my personal opinion. It'd be great if I could go to the phlebotomy blood clinic people and they fit a cannula and take the bloods that I need doing, and then I go around with the cannula still in to the MRI unit, where I then get the contrast put in and lay in a big metal coffin. For some reason, protocol says that the phlebotomy team at this hospital can't take bloods from a cannula. And I don't think they can place cannulas, but also that's a lie, because one of their team a few years ago struggled, actually a few people on their team struggled to access my veins, obviously as usual. So a lady ended up cannulating me to get the blood out. So guys, can we just like stick to one set of fucking rules, please? Because I've had enough. I've had enough of all of you. You make me sick. So yeah, at the time of filming right now, I have not been. However, I'm sure I shall insert clip after I've had the MRI, because it's only a couple of days away from when I'm filming. So I had my MRA at my local hospital. I'm just gonna throw in the update, you know, let you know what happened. I went and I took my diazepam before heading off, because diazepam can take anything from like 10 minutes to an hour to hit. So I was like, well, the last time it took about 30-ish minutes, so if I take it before I leave, that's like 10 to 15 minutes, and then probably like a bit more time when I get there, as they get ready and prepare everything, blah blah blah. When we arrived, again, unfortunately at the moment, there's been building works around that side of the hospital, so there's a lot less parking spaces there than there has been for a long time. So there was no space for my mum to park. So she dropped me off and went to go find a parking space. I handed in my documents, as you always have to do. No matter how many times you've been, you still have to fill in the same 2 documents. I struggled in that morning drinking as much water as I usually do, because I was just feeling kind of nauseous, so not feeling like my best. So I definitely didn't drink as much water as I usually would, but I still did get a lot of water in. I don't remember if I actually ate anything beforehand. If I did, it might have been a protein bar. But yeah, so I did that. I went in with my mask on as well, because at least, you know, waiting around, even though you have to take them off for the scans, at least, you know, I was protected whilst waiting. I went to the bathroom and then I think took my nose ring out, and they called me through quite quickly to go over my forms. They had brought in, I'm pretty sure it was the woman that I spoke to a while ago by email when I was trying to work out like what possibly could be put in place to make this stuff easier for MRIs, because I think the last time I had an MRI at this location, their admin team just said a load of random shit, which I think I mentioned in this video already, but yeah. So like, it was that lady who used to be a phlebotomist before she moved to MRI. So she then came around and was talking to me. My mum was brought through when she arrived. So like, me and this lady just sort of had a bit of a chat about my veins. access issues, the best places to access, blah blah blah. And she's another person who said, yeah, she's also got really difficult veins to access, and like the main thing you should do as a phlebotomist is literally just listen to what the patient says. Shock horror. I'm like, wow, surprise? No, not surprised at all. So yeah, pretty much she literally got it so quickly, so easily. She went for the deeper vein, which has less scarring. No issues at all. Stuck it in completely fine. We then had a little bit of waiting before I was called in for my actual MRI. Luckily I didn't have to go outside because our MRI department has an outside MRI and then an inside MRI. Like, I don't know why that's the setup, but it is. And I was hoping not to go outside because it was just cold outside, because our weather has been snowing, ice, and like in the minuses for the last like week or so. But no, it was fine. I was called in for the inside MRI, and one of the staff actually offered me one of their own masks because obviously masks have a wire, metal wire like nose bridge thing, which you can't wear in an MRI machine. The ones that they have are plastic. And then another member of staff said, well, actually we'll have to remove the plastic bit in the nose for this because that still comes up on MRI scans. They noticed that happen during, you know, like the height of COVID, even though it's still the height of COVID. So he took that out because he also said that my MRA was going higher up. I don't know whether that's higher up from my first scan I did have with them or whether it's from the last year's scan, but yeah, they said that it was going higher up, so that they had to remove the plastic bit so it wouldn't disrupt the imaging. Pretty much everyone was just like, this department has always been pretty nice to me and always been pretty kind and considerate and understanding, but like, I don't know, this time around they were like extra nice and extra like chill. And after it all as well, my mum, like, I talked to my mum about the whole like offering me a mask thing, and it seems like masks may be coming back to areas of healthcare, which would be ideal. Shouldn't have ever stopped, honestly, because obviously we're dealing with what, COVID, flu, norovirus and bird flu starting to pop up here too. And yeah, I got onto the MRI bed and was being like, you know, there's loads of cages that you're put into that basically tie you down, and as always, it automatically, with this MRI department, you always get inner ear earplugs and then the overhead ones, because I think the overhead ones are the ones that you can hear them talking to you through, but they never skip the inner earbud, like whatever they're called, earplugs. Like, I didn't know how bad MRIs could be because they've always given me earplugs. Like, they attached me to the contrast machine because first it's getting all the scans done without contrast, and then they put contrast in and then do the photos again. It was like it's a funny coily one, kind of like old phone cords, and one of the techs wrapped it around my thumb, which was new. Nobody's ever done that before. I mean, it keeps it in place, keeps it like from moving around to get like out of the way, and when it injected the contrast into my veins, you could feel it on my thumb because it was cold, and I didn't realize that it was an automatic machine that they can control from their little room. That was new information to me. But yeah, I had to do a lot of different breathing things, which I don't really remember having to do last time, or at least not quite so extensively. But yeah, the main radiographer kept talking, saying like how well I was doing and am I okay, is everything all right? I'm doing really well, the images are coming up really great. The breathing was like, you know, inhale, exhale, hold, inhale, exhale, inhale, hold, exhale, inhale, hold. a lot of those. The worst one's always when you have to try and hold and exhale. But yeah, they basically said that all of my images were great. Halfway through the scan, my right arm or hand went dead, or like half of it went dead, and I was trying to work out how to move my arm between scans so that my hand would come back to life, because it was really painful having all of that really aggressive pins and needles in my hand. I did get to a better position and it got better, and like I had kind of a bit of a nap here and there. After the scan, you know, they took me out of all my cages. The radiographer was the one who removed my cannula. I had to get I brought my self-adhesive bandages, which nobody ever really understands how they work. No matter how many times I say it to them, I have to repeat myself a bunch to explain how self-adhesive bandages work. I say that I'm allergic to adhesives, so why do you think this self-adhesive bandage is going to stick to my skin? So yeah, like, ironically, I didn't realise this might have been a thing, but I used numbing cream for all my blood tests and cannulations now, and actually I think it helped dull the pain a bit of ripping off the adhesive for the cannula. And yeah, we wrapped my arm with my self-adhesive bandage. Yeah, that was kind of it really. They said the images were really good. I did really well. I'm not new here, babe. I am a seasoned pro. And like, yeah, you can't even really see any bruising. It bruised a little bit a few days after, but like it's right there, like a teeny amount of bruising compared to other times. And I still actually have, where is it? You probably can't see, but like I still have a scar from last year when I got a midline put in. Let's see if I can get that teeny tiny little dot is a scar from when I got my midline last year for this same scan, but in London, which is kind of wild. I didn't think I would scar for that, but hey, there we go. So that's the scans done. Yeah, I was treated much better. Who is surprised? Not me. But that's it from me this week. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, watch my videos, share my videos. Let me know if there's any other health related topics you want me to talk about. If you're more interested in the media analysis in the media analysis side of my content, let me know what things you would like me to look into and discuss in that realm of things. But for now, that's all I have for this week, and I will see you next week. Bye.